This week, JJ goes to Morphettville. I go to Caulfield. Bit in that as well for Memsie Stakes Day because there's a bit of wind around, so track intel really important. We put a fair few horses in the snap, don't snap, so some price sensitivity there, and pin the tail. Very important. Last week, Fangirl, I get the chocolates. This week, it's Pride of Jenni, and we're giving the punters a crack too. Let's get involved in the Jules and JJ show. Hello and welcome to the Jules and JJ show. My name's Julian Valance. Not joined in person because from a Balinese jail, JJ, how are you?
It feels a bit like a Balinese. I'll probably take the Balinese jail at the moment. I've got the 3 kids with me. Sort of day 6 of the holiday, and they're starting to get a bit ratty, but I'm going all right. As you know, I've had a bit of an incident yesterday at Waterbomb Park, of all places, and I've come off second best, but it's a gritty effort just to be here.
And I'm sure you're getting the best medical advice too from over there in Bali. They're very good in that sort of space, so you'll be able to trust that. So good luck with that flight whenever that happens. But yeah, RIP.
Thanks. Yeah, look, it's a minor. It's what they call whiplash in the home country. I don't know what they call it in Indonesian or Balinese, but it wasn't pretty. I was on one of those standing waves, and anyway, one thing led to another. I know what actually happened. I'm 40 and didn't realise it at the time. But anyway, I'm paying the price for it now. I can hardly swallow. Anyway, we'll push on.
All right, let's get into the track intel. Okay, JJ, what's the track analysis for Morphettville this week? Because the rail goes out a little bit again.
It does. It goes out 7 metres in the 1,200 metre chute, and it's 4 metres the remainder. It was sort of 4 metres last meeting there. They did get off the fence. They've been doing that a bit lately, so I'll touch on it in a minute. I'm going with the soft track. I'd say it'll be in the 6 range, a few scattered showers around. The most important thing with the intel this week is the wind. It's a 40 kilometre an hour west-northwesterly, which is a headwind in the straight and a crosswind sort of coming down the side. That could easily push them off the fence and give those horses with 3 and 4 wide cover around the bend an advantage. So I reckon the intel this week is the fence probably inferior. Avoid inside gates, particularly in the chute, and probably bonus those horses sort of 3-4 wide in that chute, peeling in those middle lanes in the straight. I think that'll be the go.
All right, so that's the track analysis for Morphettville. Bit in that as well, punters, so take notice of what JJ said. I think the wind is going to be a massive factor at Morphettville. It's also going to be a massive factor with me at Caulfield. So true position the entire circuit. Little bit of rain about Friday and slightly possibly Saturday. I don't reckon we'll get it Saturday. We might get a little bit Friday night. I still think we'll hold in the good 4 range, which is a positive. Here's the key fact that we really need to start to lean into here at Caulfield on Saturday. Wind 30 to 45 kilometre northwesterly. Now, so what does that mean? We know the northerlies bang a headwind into the chute. It's probably going to be coming from their left into them still. So it's still going to be a headwind, even around that 1,400 metre turn as well. So it's going to be crucial. We know usually when we get these kinds of winds, the jockeys want to take cover and they ride a little bit like that, so you don't get these really breakneck races run fast. Intel chute, look, on speed's an advantage. If you just take away the wind, the on speed's an advantage, as is the circle forward of midfield an advantage. But just be mindful of this wind, especially in the chute and even the 1,400 metre race where the Memsie Stakes is going to be. I don't know if the jockeys will want to be real aggressive leading into this heavy, possibly 45 kilometre wind. It's going to impact. So there could be some slowly run races on Saturday. It's going to be a major factor of how these races are run and won. That's the track intel for Morphettville and Caulfield. Okay, JJ, we're going to go to the Fox factors for this week. This week, I want to focus on speed mapping and how important it is before each race is to try and predict the positions in run of each horse, because I think it's such a massive advantage if you can get those positions correct, especially on a day like Saturday at Caulfield and Morphettville when you're going to have wind and it's going to have impact on what could be good lanes, bad lanes. Being able to get the horses in the correct position as a starting point gives you a massive advantage when you're pricing up your runners. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, spot on. It's actually the first thing I do when I'm doing the form. I'll do the speed map before I even put in a predicted figure for each horse. do a speed map, because that sort of affects the way I guess, give them the predicted figure. If I think they're going to be 3 wide on a limb, obviously they're getting nowhere near their best. If I think they're going to get a soft run in behind them, which will be suited, then it's different again. So I think it's really important. The one thing I would say is, if it's solely what you're betting off, the speed map, speed maps can change. Jockeys can have different intent. A trainer can give different instructions. If you're solely betting off your speed map, it can be a bit of a problem, but it's certainly a really good starting point and a big factor in my form study.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, JJ. That's the Fox Factors for this week. All right, JJ, Group 1 set this week. We go to Caulfield. It's the Memsie Stakes. It's been billed as a match race between Pride of Jenni and obviously Mr. Brightside. They both resume in this 1,400 metre contest around Caulfield. We've got the prices from PointsBet. The map I thought was really important. I'll quickly go through the map that I have for this race. We spoke about this in the Fox Factors, how important a speed map can be. I've got Pride of Jenni leading from that wide gate, and I think Gentleman Roy comes and sits outside it. I think they go at a genuine clip. I think probably Bandersnatch from that gate holds leaders back. Mr. Brightside gets the 1-1. And then I think a few other horses just have to be ridden for cover just from where their gates are. A horse like Antino, who sometimes probably would want to be ridden forward, I think has to take the medicine and go back. Pinstripe has to go back. So it makes it probably a little bit difficult for those horses. But that's my starting point, the speed map. And then when I look at the race and I think how it's going to be, and obviously the big narrative is around Pride of Jenni and what she did in the autumn in the Queen Elizabeth. Very different ball game here, 1,400 metres. She hasn't won in 7 goes first up, I think is the record. That means absolutely nothing to me in this situation. I think she's been prepped up extremely different for this run. She's had the 3 jump outs. I think no doubt she's going to be screwed down as she can be. But from a price point of view, I didn't find much edge in the market right now. What about yourself and your speed map? Much different to mine, and how you think this race is going to evolve?
No, I think the speed map's bang on. The little sort of asterisk I was Mr. Brightside with the winkers off. Just think with the race shape, I would have preferred him to have the winkers on, because I think, as you said, sort of Gentleman Roy, who's had to run under its belt, but I don't think they want to get into an arm wrestle with Pride of Jenni, because she is so tough. So even though it's got the race fitness, I suppose, I don't think they'll be trying to exploit that. I think they'll sit 1-2. It's just if Brightside can be on their back and sitting up 1-1. On Pride of Jenni, those sort of horses with that racing style, I sort of very reluctantly will back them first up. I just think that they've got to be fit. That's their edge, I suppose. They run the opposition into the ground. Just being first up can be a little bit hard. But this horse, as you said, has jumped out well. So she's going to roll forward. She'll hold it up. I think Gentleman Roy sits outside her. It's just where the Brightside can get over the top of her late. I think there'll be nothing in it, to be honest. I think it's a really good race. I haven't read the media comments. I've seen a few headlines from trainers thinking maybe Brightside's not fully wound up, but I'm just going to sort of play the ball as it lies and not worry about that sort of stuff. I marked her 315 and 100% market. Why I didn't give her absolute best was first up last prep, I reckon she was off about 90 days, and here she's off about 140. So just that extra sort of bit of time between runs, just maybe go a little bit soft on her, but she's still going to be very hard to beat. I thought the SP would be about $3.
Yeah, it looks to be shaping up as a fantastic race. Great to see these two horses back in action from a market perspective, and whether I'm having a bet, I just couldn't find any edge with the prices. So I've marked them pretty similar to what the market is. Just can't wait. Probably the one hole in the market for me, I think, is Antino. Is around that $6, $6.50. I've marked him closer to double figures. So if he was to win, I'd be blown out of the water. But that's what we are for the Group 1 set, the Memsie Stakes this week. All right, JJ, you did well last week. You've been on a bit of a heater. Let's go to your SA set.
All right, thanks, Jules. Look, we've been sort of mucked around a bit by the Victorian horses, sort of scratching and then sort of dual acceptances in Melbourne and not coming. So I've sort of tried to pick races here where we're not going to get a scratching. The best of the day last week was scratched, Wolfgang. So I've gone with 2, as you said. The first one comes up in race number 2. It's a South Australian horse, Duchess of Sussex. It's still a maiden. Tommy Stokes, or Phil Stokes, has got this. Tommy Stokes looking after it. He's got a very good record with his fillies and mares in SA, Tommy. Think back to the carnival. We had obviously Climbing Star, Stretton Angel run really well in the Group 1. So I think he's got a good ability to keep these fillies and mares up and racing at their best. Now, Duchess of Sussex ran a peak last start with my adjustment. So it's his best rating ever. It was 3 wide, no cover on a limb. I think it's a better horse with a bit of cover, and I think it'll get cover because it's $1,250 back to $1,050 for this. So Expect there to be a little bit of speed. It's some cheap speed, not great quality in front. I think Lockie Nindorf can suck in just behind with her and save her for that last sort of 250 metres. And I think she'll be very, very hard to beat. So she's a bet in race number 2. She's about that 240 quote. The second of them comes up in race number 8. It's a horse called On the Scent. It's a new season 4-year-old. It trialled really well before its first up run. Its first up run was exceptional. The sectionals were really good. It savaged the line late. It goes 1250 to 1500, which I think is the right amount second up. I think there's good speed in this race as well. The little queries, it's drawn gate 3, and Maggie Collette's going to have to peel out. It is a horse that'll take a bit of winding up, but it gets to the bigger track, which is another plus. And I think if they're fanning as I think they might on the day, I reckon there'll be runs there for On the Scent. So at 550, I think it's a great each way bet to nothing.
Beautiful, JJ. So there's JJ's SA set up behind me. There are his 2 selections. Now let's go to Jules's VIC Set. Okay, so here's my 4 selections for Caulfield this week. I found this day really tricky as we've spoken about how we think this track's going to play just from a win perspective and how these races might be run and won. But race 2, this horse is emergency at the moment, but I think it'll get a run. Number 17, Flying Valley. It's a newly minted 4-year-old. I really like these horses at this time of the year, as we've spoken about a lot. We had that as a Fox Factor a couple of weeks ago. It was first up at Bendigo, really slowly run race, but best last 400 to 200 by far, about a third of a second better than anything else. On the minimum here, I think it's going to get a suck run. I think each way around $14, $13, $14 Flying Valley. I want to have something each way on it. In race 3, Tar and Feather Me put me in the street, but I'm going with the horse that has been below market expectations the last 2 runs. I speak of Fredder. It's been no doubt disappointing. It's now third up, and my gut feel is, just from looking at these 2 runs that it's had, where we've been against it because it's been really poor, is that it just hasn't been fit. Off 179 days, third up now, again, newly minted 4-year-old, on the minimum weight, 54 kilos, significant jockey change. MD goes on, replaces an apprentice. I think it's D-Day for this horse, Fredder. And the other factor as well is Blinker's first time, possibly sits in the first 5 or 6. I think at that price, around $5.50, $6 Fredder, I'm happy to back it each way and just get back to those big numbers it did. I think at Sandown and Bendigo early in its career, stamped some really 2 big numbers, hence why its SP has been really short in its 2 failures this prep. Market's still hanging on to it. Don't know what the market does on Saturday. I want to be with it third up with D going on, big jockey change. Then we go to race 7, 2 horses I like here. Number 12, Expressiveness. It was pretty good first up behind a horse called Arkansas Kid. I got that race going really well. Barriers, very, very good. I think it settles in the first 4 or 5, and it just gets a map advantage over many of its rivals. Expressiveness, I want to back it. And the one down the bottom, 16, Aviatress, comes over from Adelaide. Huge numbers in Adelaide, which JJ would know and be across. Look, 1,200 metres, I'm not so sure on. I think 1,000, 1,100 metres is right in its wheelhouse, but I like that it's gate 2. So it's really cute. Craig Williams goes on, so significant jockey change again. I think he can just be ridden for luck, and at double figures, I'm really keen to be Aviatress in race 7. So they're the 4 selections for Caulfield this week. All right, JJ, let's get to the snap or don't snap. I'll kick off. So we're going 23 from 28 that we're predicting that have gone the right way that we predict in terms of the price will either go north or south. I've got 4 this week. In race 1, Sassy Boom. It's around $6. It's first up here. I've marked this horse closer to double figures. I just think there's a few other horses that I think the market will gravitate towards. I think if you like this horse, you're going to get better than the $6. So I suggest you don't snap, just hold off. Don't take that price yet. In race 2, a horse called The Open, around $4.80, $5. Again, I think you can hold off here, punters, if you like this horse. I think it's going to drift, or I've definitely got it marked a little bit bigger. It's going to be its 8th run this prep, I think. It's a really consistent horse, but the apprentice goes on. I think the market spits it out at some stage. Race 3, this is my snap, Fredder, around $5.50. I think the market's going to gravitate towards Blinker's first time, senior jockey on the minimum, third up, ready to rock and roll, Fredder. I'm happy to take that price. And in race 6, first up, it's a pretty hot race, the Vane Stakes, a horse called Stay Focused. It's around $2.90, $3. Did a little bit as a 2-year-old, did lots wrong. Its debut win was really good. That was a good number. But then just don't know about that Blue Diamond fawn. Outside of Lady of Camelot, I reckon the market started to take a set against it, $2.90. I think we're going to get better than that $2.90. Definite winning chance, stay focused, but I think keep your powder dry till we get closer to the barriers open, and you'll get a better price, not snapping the price early doors for stay focused. That's my 4 for Caulfield. JJ, you've got, I think, 4 as well for Morphettville.
Yeah, I do. Kicking off with race number 3, Platinum Wolf, a horse that I tipped a couple of weeks ago, and it was a bit unlucky. It probably should have won. Didn't have a great run in transit, but the market didn't want to know about it that day. It jumped about $5 SP, and I reckon it was slightly shorter sort of in the lead up to that. I think this is a slightly harder race. So if it's $5 in that race, I reckon 370 is probably short enough. So I'm going to say don't snap race number 3, Platinum Wolf. I think race 8 On the Scent is a snap. A horse I obviously like. I said the second up trip increased suits. I think its run first up was great. The trial before that was really good. So I think at $5.50, it's a great each way bet. I reckon it will start with the 4 in front of it. There's 2 I don't like in the last race. They're $9 and $8. So you think, well, give us a shorty. The reason I'm picking this race is because there's sort of 20% of the market there, roughly, when you sort of round it down with the bookies percentage built in. 20% of the market there, I reckon, is going to get easy. And that's pretty much what the market's going to do. That's the fat that's going to come off the market. So a couple of horses in the race that'll be popular, Sir Sway and Jazz Affair. I think if you like either of them, there's a good chance they shorten. So I'm going to pot Wiggum at $9 with a big weight in the inside gate, and also 3 rings. Went to Victoria first up, was a late scratching on the day, comes back here, synthetic hoof filler, just think it's under the odds. So there's 2 there in the last race, and then I reckon the snap is, as I said, don't On the Scent, with the first don't snap being Platinum Wolf, who I'll be sick if it wins, and it can win, but I reckon 370. If you want to back it, hold off. I reckon you'll get north of $4.
Beautiful advice there, JJ. So 4 at Morphettville, 4 at Caulfield for the snap or don't snaps. Okay, time now, JJ, for the Pin the Tail segment. I know it's one of your biggest fans, and hence why you tried to knock yourself out at a water bomb park to try and not have to deal with this again. But last week, just very quickly, my friend, Fangirl was the talking horse we spoke about, Pin the Tail. Now, you went with $2.05, I went with $2.25, and the points bet starting price was $2.35. So I got the chocolates there, so I'll take that win. Now makes it 4-2 to the good. This week, I don't think there's any bigger talking horse in Australia. Pride of Jenni in the Memsie Stakes. I'll kick us off, mate. I've decided to go with $2.65. And for those playing at home, it's about 13 to 8 in the old. So I don't want to hear any narrative around what $2.65 is. We'll just get that in really quickly. It's 13 to 8. Look, she's off 140 days, which is, it's a bit of an extended break. I just think she's had the 3 jump outs. She's really wound up for this. So I didn't want to put too much north on this price. The wind is going to be really interesting, because after about races 5 or 6, if there's been no leader, then I think she might continue to drift out in the market. But I've gone with $2.65, which is around about what market price is at the moment. That's my price, Pride of Jenni. How have you saw Pride of Jenni in the Memsie Stakes, JJ?
Oh, I see a few things in this, Jules. I see you picking $2.65. I see you picking $2.65 as a low act. It's not a price, mate, $2.65. It's $2.60 or $2.70. But if it jumps to $2.80, I suppose, having seen my price, you're in the box seat. So I see why you do it. And this segment, it's all you've got on me, really. And people will say, Lockie Neal doesn't take a pack mark. Whatever, mate. He's a dual Brownlow medalist. He's elite. Anyway, my price is what you asked. I've gone with $3, Pride of Jenni. Look, the first up run last prep was very, very good, but it was off 91 days. This is off 140. Reckon Gentleman Roy might just put a little bit of pressure onto the market, might see that happening. I've got a mark about 315 at 100%. I was going to go with 290 or $3. I've landed on $3, and I need this one. Hopefully it's one can coming my way.
Now, I'm looking forward to Lockie Neal on Saturday whenever they play that first final, taking a massive pack mark and kicking a big goal to get him over the line after the siren. So there was a bit in that Pin the Tail, but that is the Pin the Tail for this week. Pride of Jenni, she's a really big talking horse. And for the punters out there, you want to get involved in this segment, here's your opportunity. So she's the biggest talking horse in Australia. I've gone with $2.65 as the PointsBet SP. JJ's gone with $3. Leave a comment below with your starting price that you think Pride of Jenni will be from a PointsBet point of view. and also the finishing position. So if you think she's going to be $2.80 when the barrier's open, then also put where you think she'll finish, whether that be first, second, third, or last, whatever you think you might be. Winner will get a Foxcatcher Intel prize pack. Have a crack. It'll be a bit of fun, and I think we should get some engagement there because Pride of Jenni is the biggest talking horse in Australia at the moment. All right, JJ, we've reached this point where it is the plays of the day. A tricky day at Caulfield. I'll lead us off. It's in race 2. It's each way. It's an emergency at the moment, but I think it'll get a run. Race 2, number 17, Flying Valley, for those reasons we spoke about when I did my set. Look, I thought its first up run was really good in a slowly run race. Last 400, 200 was best of the day by about a third of a second. Newly minted 4-year-old on the minimum. Just think this sets up really well. I think it's going to be a horse that at double figures we can have a good bet each way. Unfashionable camp. I think it might have got under a few people's guard, this horse. So Flying Valley each way for me. Yours at Morphettville is?
It's an each way bet as well. It's race 8. On the Scent is the horse. I think it's number 2. Look, I thought looking at its trial this prep that it's come up a better horse. Its first up run gives me confidence that is the case. It was 12.50 there, hit the line really hard, goes to 1,500 second up, goes from the inner Parks track to the outer, bigger track, gets good speed. And I reckon they'll fan on the day, which helps it because it has drawn gate 3. It'll need to get some luck through them, but I think it'll be very, very hard to beat. At 5.50, I think it's a great each way bet. So the play of the day for me is On the Scent.
There's our 2 plays of the day, both at each way. So a bit of value there for Caulfield and Morphettville. That's the end of the show, JJ. Well done. I know you're under sufferance. Now you can get back to doing whatever you do in Bali, and I know it's not legitimate. So you come back with whatever you come back with, and we'll see you next week in person, possibly. Good luck. Safe flight back.
Jules, thanks everyone, and I'll be off to the swim up bar if you need me.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Imagine what you could be buying instead.
For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.